Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System.
No! God damn it!
And welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System.
Released June 12, 2001, and developed by Gearbox Studios, Half-Life Blue Shift is one of two main expansions to the original Half-Life, released November 19, 1998 by Valve. While not exactly released to critical acclaim, it's become something of a cult classic as it isn't quite as popular as its sibling Opposing Force, but still faces positive review. Compared to Opposing Force, and especially the base Half-Life, it's very short, but serves to be a nice quick taste of Half-Life. Even if it doesn't add anything new, it's still a good story. Since I was only about 4 or 5, I've been a big Half-Life fan. I've played every main release Half-Life and the original expansions multiple times over. I just find the environmental storytelling, the gameplay, and the extensive lore is incredible, both for their time and even years later. And so, after hearing that some people by the name of HECU Collective were remaking Blue Shift as a mod to Black Mesa, you better believe I couldn't wait to get my hands on it when it fully released. Clearly based on this video, I really couldn't, because here I am after having played the first 5 chapters released so far. And after getting a taste of it, I have some thoughts on it, both good and bad. The tram ride of the first chapter is as you would expect, with some extra polish and set pieces. HECU Collective did a good job taking the original tram ride and just making it a bit more interesting and fun. The same can't totally be said for the rest of the game after Chapter 2, Insecurity. Revisiting Black Mesa once again as Barney Calhoun was really a great experience. Seeing so much of what was old and what is new was nostalgic in a great way. The addition of the many character interactions throughout this chapter was a great touch. Honestly, I was giggling like a little schoolgirl the whole time.
Oh, did I just shut her laptop?
There seems to be something new to find around every corner, and as a longtime fan of the series, it was nice to see the love and care put into this chapter. I had a lot of fun messing with this guy's laptop.
I knew it.
Touch that socket. The laptop's battery is dead.
Yeah, I really had to reach for it. Hey, that's Calhoun! Now that's what you call a man that moves with purpose.
To be honest, the NPC interactions were possibly the most enjoyable parts of the entire mod. The time spent with Murdoch and Otis throughout Captive Freight was hilarious, and I made sure to stop and listen to them anytime one of them opened their mouth so I wouldn't miss anything.
You know, I wonder if those crabby things actually taste like turkey, because they kind of look like one.
Why would you eat?
Hey, we gotta think about our survival. And you, sir, just worded yourself out of a bite.
Oh, woe is me.
Besides this though, as much as I did mostly enjoy the first 4 chapters, many of the new and altered puzzles felt more like padding for time rather than anything beneficial or contributing to the overall narrative. For example, this large steam pipe puzzle partway through Captive Freight just felt unnecessary. It was never in the original game. It wasn't very difficult or anything, it just felt like they threw it in to lengthen the game a bit more than they already had with the prior canal section and duty calls, and much of the wandering around in the sewers. But even with that, I feel everything totally fell off when I arrived in Zen for Chapter 5, Focal Point. Up to this point, even though the game was already so long I could have beaten the original at least 4 times, I had figured Zen would at least be similar to the original chapter in length, as there isn't much that happens in the base game, besides get in and get out. I was sorely mistaken. Entering Zen in Black Mesa Blue Shift evokes a similar feeling to that of entering Zen in Black Mesa. Zen is an absolutely beautiful piece of art, and the chance to experience that once again was warmly welcomed. From the skies to the fauna and everything in between, playing through Zen is like the best acid trip you've ever had. But that's where the good really ends. See, the original focal point chapter in Half-Life Blue Shift was very short. Having played it many times before, I can get through it in about 10 minutes. If you've never played, it might take you about 20.
See? Already here. See how fast that was?
It's a really short chapter, and there isn't a whole lot to get done aside from finding the emitter and activating it. The focal point chapter of Black Mesa Blue Shift took me about 3 hours to complete. The greatest issue with focal point isn't just its length. Being long isn't necessarily bad if the content is engaging. The problem here is that almost none of the extra length adds to the story or experience, and therefore isn't very engaging. Effectively 99% of the chapter is completely new and invented by HECU Collective. All that's really carried over from the original chapter is the chapter name, the concept of Zen, and the goal of finding the focal point and getting the heck out. But even that seems lost in this chapter. Starting with the puzzles throughout this chapter, the most abundant is the different variations of this plant puzzle. To solve them, you have to activate leaves by firing at glowing sacks, either in a specific order or all at once, opening a pathway forward. I counted about 10 uses of this same puzzle, and while they were all a touch different, they never served to make the game more interesting or fun. Instead, they made the chapter feel more repetitive. At one point, you see 4 of them back to back within 8 minutes. When the same challenge comes so frequently, it's no longer new and novel. It's just the motions, and moving forward feels more like a chore than an adventure. Hell, they're barely puzzles. They're more like tasks than anything. Out of all the puzzles in this chapter, these plant puzzles easily felt the laziest, especially with such abundance. They came up so often that the one time they used the leaves as decoration, rather than as a puzzle, I had a double take to see how to activate them. Randomly adding them as decoration at this point was not a great idea. In this one puzzle, to get power to a tram, you're supposed to run around finding and charging power cells in order to activate this tram and continue onward. It's not difficult, but it's definitely confusing, because it isn't immediately obvious you have to backtrack so much to find the cells and charge them. I wandered around the tram area for an embarrassing amount of time before finally leaving to find the cells elsewhere. If you pay close attention, there are hints as to where to go in the environment, like this whiteboard and an active power display. But it was so subtle to me I completely missed it. Maybe I'm dumb or blind, I don't know. Regardless, while I don't think the puzzle was that bad, combined with the rest of the puzzles, it once again just adds length rather than substance to the story and experience in any meaningful way. Then we got the combat of Zen. There's a couple new enemies like the electric houndeye and a stronger variant of the bull squid. Their inclusion isn't broken or badly balanced, but rather felt repetitive and uninspired. The fact that they were placed everywhere seemingly without rhyme or reason, it mostly felt like filler dropped in to stall the player. Obviously there has to be combat, you're in an alien environment, and there should be, but I can't help but feel the execution was just dirt poor. Easily the most strange and irritating part of Focal Point for me, besides its length, isn't even really the gameplay, it's the world design, which just left me befuddled. About 40 minutes in, you come across a massive Black Mesa research lab, fully built into the environment. Not a mobile research station, an actual permanent structure. For Black Mesa to construct something like this on Zen would have required massive teams of engineers, construction workers, and tons of equipment hauled through the portal. The same goes for this large tram system around a hazardous crystal. Even if the crystal wasn't going haywire before the resonance cascade, why would they go through the trouble of constructing this massive observation platform on rails? Why would they take the risk building such a large lab when smaller, mobile labs would do the job far more safely and cheaply? And the location of some of these labs are even more baffling. Some are practically on the doorsteps of Zen bases. I mean, seriously, what numbskull thought this was a good place to do research? Black Mesa isn't stupid. They'd been exploring Zen long before the resonance cascade. They would have known these areas were dangerous, and yet the developers placed research posts right where no one in their right mind would set foot. Even the focal point itself is conveniently positioned only maybe a bit over a half a kilometer outside a massive Zenian structure capable of jamming the emitter. How does this make any sense? Also, why would the inhabitants of Zen only decide now to start jamming the emitter? The level design of this whole chapter is just top to bottom unrealistic to me, and it undermines the intelligence and caution that Black Mesa scientists would actually have. I think we can all acknowledge that Black Mesa is generally playing with fire regardless of their experiments, even just going to Zen in the first place. But I doubt any of them are dumb enough to think sending 100 civilians with a couple dozen security guards in to build a large, permanent structure and tram system is a good idea. Nor are they dumb enough to set up research posts outside of hostile alien bases. As much as I want to love this mod, Focal Point completely lost me. The dragging length, the repetitive puzzles, the filler combat, and the bizarre world design decisions just completely miss the mark and bury what was the original Focal Point. The original expansion could be beaten in under 2 hours. This remake is over 4 times that length by only the 5th chapter, without adding any real substance. It doesn't feel better, it just feels longer. I do want to briefly acknowledge that yes, this is a free mod. It was made out of passion for the original game by people who simply love Half-Life, and that they aren't some massive studio with millions of dollars and playtesters at their fingertips. But that doesn't mean that this is a good remake. Up to Zen, it's fine, and I had fun, for the most part. Once you're in Zen, it quickly falls off. Frequently throughout the chapter, I was just wishing for it to be over. This all said, I'll still play the final chapters when they release, but unless HECU Collective completely reworks Focal Point and removes much of the padding prior, I can't see myself ever touching the first 5 chapters ever again. Especially Focal Point. I do want to add that the soundtrack for this game at the very least is great. I loved it, and I'm using it for the background music to this video. So at the very least, they have that going for them. Anyways, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.
To be continued. Christ, I'm so thankful to be done with that. Zen is too long, man. Holy shit.